And the title and the content of my presentation is, as I explained, how we harness technologies that are developed perhaps for different fields. And very early in my career, I discovered or I found out that in order to progress, I had to use technologies developed in different fields. Because we all, in those days, were using sort of either video or cine cameras and motion analysis equipment. But it became clear that without looking at what the muscle is doing, it's very difficult to determine just by describing the movement externally that you can understand what is going on with a view of then looking at the loading, in other words, the forces that are developed in the musculoskeletal system, if you wanted to optimize those forces for performance or reduce some of those forces to prevent injuries. Before I start my presentation, just a little plug. Next year, we're organizing the International Society of Biomechanics in Sports, the ISBS conference. It doesn't conflict with this one, so it's towards the end of July 2020, and you're all very welcome, and hopefully we'll see you in Liverpool. I always run out of time, so before I run out of time again in my presentation, I want to acknowledge and help all the collaborators, current and previous PhD students, that this work is based on. Without the work, the hard work and efforts of all these individuals over the years, I wouldn't be where I am today. So my first part of the talk, in general, is basically looking at those three questions. So we're using imaging and simulation technologies, and we're trying to understand some fundamental issues in musculoskeletal biomechanics. So what we want to understand is what is the effect of activation, muscle activation on joint mechanics. Nothing stays still, everything changes when we move. So all the equations of motion, everything that we described in simulation changes as soon as you start moving. What we're also particularly interested in for a large part of our research work is, if you look at children, are they really just scaled down versions of adults in terms of the forces that they develop